Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and we are on episode 9 and 10 of the Untamed. It's hard to believe, but after this set, we'll be a fifth of the way through the series. That's crazy, right? But, so, last episode we were gifted with Wangji's smile, but also getting into this weird predicament where our gang is trapped in this cavern with this statue that's very reminiscent of the beginning of the series. So I commented in the last set of episodes that I thought that maybe this was replacing the turtle scene, but y'all have pointed out on Patreon that that's not the case, that the turtle scene at the turtle cave is going to happen. So I was like, okay, cool. This is an Untamed only thing that happens. So that's good. I'm glad, because I was going to be a little bit sad if we weren't going to see the turtle. Even if it's a bad CGI Muppet monstrosity, I still want to see it, right? But also, there was a couple other things pointed out, and one being, because I noted that the actors of the older characters in this series, they do look a little bit older than like in the Donghua. And one of you, it might have been West or Anastasia on Patreon, one of y'all were commenting, or Goldmund, one of you were saying, I think Goldman, it might have been you, were saying that, or no, Wes, one of y'all on Patreon was saying that the director of The Untamed decided to go with older actors to differentiate for a general audience the difference between the older characters and the younger ones. But if it had been more true to the Donghua and the novel, then the characters would have been pretty much young across the board, because at some point the cultivators stopped aging. So I feel a little bit sad. Wes, I do think it was you, because you were commenting about Dilf Cheerin, and I was like, I want Dilf Cheerin so bad now. Also, y'all have clarified that the Q in Chinese is pronounced with a ch sound, which my English tongue is trying to get used to, because I see Q on the screen, but it's a ch sound. I'm like, language. so I'm going to try to say Ching, Wen Ching, and Cheerin. So hopefully that helps make y'all feel better that I'm not mispronouncing their names every 5 seconds. But, and I'm having that same issue right now because we're with Ching and in the novel and audio drama that I'm doing simultaneously along with this. But I'm pretty excited to get into episodes 9 and 10 and see what all is going on. Someone commented a while back that they had been kind of iffy about this series, and then once episodes 9 and 10 happened, they were all on board, and I was like, ooh, okay. I don't feel spoiled necessarily because I know what's going to happen, but it is interesting to not know how this series is going to handle things, because like in the last episode, a lot of that was Untamed only, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen with it. So I'm pretty excited. So let's do this, shall we? We are going to start episodes 9 and 10 of The Untamed. And we're going to start that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! These episodes were so good, especially episode 10. Episode 10, I'll be honest, episode 9 was fine. They spent a lot of time in that woods with the mist. I was like, okay, a lot of time in the woods with the mist, and it was fine. But I was like, okay, because I had a lot of people tell me that episodes 9 and 10 is when things start to go, and I was like, really? I was like, episode 9 was a little bit slow. And then we did get a few things, like the Wind Clan with Ching, her, and Wuxian trying to figure out, like, her involvement with the Wind Clan and trying to get the Yin Iron and all that. And then it's interesting how this story is repurposing and reorganizing events. But for the show, it works. It works for what it's setting up and for what it's doing. So, for example, at the end of episode 9, it did the whole thing where it was setting up them trying to find out. I like the idea that we're getting the introduction of Yang in this, of Yang and XingChen and Song. It's like, oh my god, we're getting them this early? And Huck's back here like, what? But here's what I like about it, okay? Here's what I like about it. I've watched the Donghua, and I'm reading the novel now, and it's so funny because right now, as I'm reading the novel and listening to the audio drama, we're just getting into Yi City in the audio drama. And so the whole idea is that we hear about the Chang clan's demise. We hear about it. We hear about the Chang clan's demise. We hear about Yang being responsible for Song being poisoned and XingChen giving up his eyes for Song, his eyesight for Song to save him. So we get all that in exposition. We get it all through storytelling, but we don't actually see any of it take place. What I like about this show is that it's actually showing us the Chang massacre. We see it and we meet Yang as a younger individual. We meet him in the past. Him and XingChen and Song, we meet all of them. So that's so interesting. And I'm wondering if part of the reason why is because of the censorship that they can't show us exactly, empathy. I don't know how they're going to do empathy in this. So I don't know if they can show us that because, again, there's no ghosts and there's no zombies. So because there's not that spiritual element to it, right? Because there's not that, I wonder if this is the workaround from empathy. They're just actually going to show us the past, only it's in the present in this. But I love it. The moment where they turn around and Yang's on the rooftop, Yang has like the best like pop-up surprises. I about lost it because I was like, oh my God, he's here. And they're meeting him in the past. And then we meet XingChen and Song, and it was like, I love it because it's building these characters up and it's building them in a way that our main cast is going to feel, we as the audience will feel more connected with Song and XingChen and Yang because we know them now than if we see them in the future with Yi City. We're going to be much more connected to them. Oh my God. And let me just say, first of all, the acting in this episode, specifically with HuaiSang, with Yang, and with Yao, those three actors, I love Yibo as Wanji now, and I love Zhan as Wuxian. They are great. Chang's actor is great. Xing's actor is great. All the actors and actresses in this are wonderful, but in this set of episodes, Yang's actor, Yao's actor, and HuaiSang's actor were just wonderful. Like Yang, his actor is like chewing the scenery in every single scene he is in. He is just like hamming it up so hardcore, and I'm living for it because it's just in Yang's character. He's like the jester. He just puts on the big show, and he is an actor. He's not as good of an actor as Yao and HuaiSang, but oh my God, we'll talk about them. But he does such a good job. And I know some of you said that he auditioned to be Wuxian. I can see it. Him and Wuxian have very similar, like, they exude similar energy, but Yang is just that chaotic evil, and I love it. I love over-the-top diva villains, and he is. Every scene he's in, he's just so acting so hard, and I love it. I love it. But XingChen, we're already getting him. I was like, when all these characters got together, I'm like, oh no, they're all hot. XingChen is a damn cinnamon roll in the novel, I'm figuring out. And him in this version, in live action, he is just as stoic and innocent and pure as he is in the novel. And I love that he's in the all-white robes with the black trim. And then Yang, of course, is in the black with the gold trim. And then Song has to show up, and he's in the gray with the black trim. It's like all the color coordinating. And Song looks very good, too. He looks different than the Donghua, but the moment I saw him, I was like, oh, that's Song. Of course it is. And, of course, you have the gray, white, and black motif with the three of them. Of course. I love that throughout episode 10, I don't have much to talk about with episode 9. Episode 9 is fine. There's flirting between Chang and Ching, HuaiSang and them catching the chicken, hilarious. The whole mist thing, ridiculous, but it's fine. Episode 9, the best part of episode 9 is that they did we got a little bit from the Donghua in the novel where only it's in the past instead of the present. Wuxian telling Wanji, like, oh, I know how to get information from the common folk. You just let me handle it. You're used to talking to the nobles. I know how to get it from the everyday man. We got to go over here to this liquor store and find out all the hot gossip. So I liked that because it was I liked that we're setting this flashback up to show all these characters in the past and their relationships, and it's being so fleshed out so that when we see it later in the present, the impact it's going to have, I feel, is going to be a lot harder. So that's great. But episode 10 may be my favorite so far. There's so much happening in this episode. It was so good. But yeah, just the fight between XingChen and Yang and Song. The fact that Wuxian just tethers Yang and just like pulls him around like a marionette. It's great and binds him. It's wonderful. I love it. I like that Wuxian and Chang and Wanji this whole time, they're just standing here watching XingChen fight with him like, are we even in the same show? Because I'll be honest, I feel like a lot of you have said that Yang and XingChen and Song were originally in MXTX's story that she wrote in high school, and so she just kind of weaved it into this. And in the donghua and in the novel, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and I'm fine with it. I like it, but it seems like it's this separate story that has just been kind of thrown into it, and it kind of feels like it here, but since we've had Yang throughout the earlier episodes, it doesn't feel quite as an inserted story. XingChen and Song just randomly showing up, it's like, okay, there's these guys, but Yang having been established early on in the story, it feels more naturally integrated, and I like that about it. But man, Wuxin's just having fun. And it's like, Lanzan, are you bored? And Lanzan's like, we are not here to have fun. This guy's clearly dangerous. But I love the actors playing them and their personalities, everything. It's so good. It's so good. What is also great about this whole thing is the fact that we are getting HuaiSang and Yao scenes together so much at this point. It's kind of crazy because that's another thing that changes in this because in the novel and the donghua, it's established that when Yang was captured by XingChen, he was taken in front of Daddy Jin and Mingzhu. And Mingzhu was like, kill him! And Daddy Jin was like, well, I don't know. We might use him. But in the novel and the donghua, they wanted to use him because they thought he could rebuild the tiger amulet. And in this, we're not even to the tiger amulet yet. We're still in the yin iron. So clearly he has a role in the yin iron. So we don't get Daddy Jin, which I'm actually okay with. I don't like Daddy Jin at all. He's so slimy. The less I see of him, the better. But we established the whole Yao connection and everything. And every moment that Yao and Yang were together on screen, I was like, oh, like you just know. If you've already watched the series, you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. All the foreshadowing. It's so wonderful. But yeah, so, oh my God, when XingChen's like, do you confess? He's like, of course. I was like, he's such a mean girl, and I freaking love it. I love that Wuxin searches him, and he's like, don't you have any shame? And Wuxin's like, I'm the most shameless person you'll ever meet. So good. And then, of course, XingChen saying, this is my friend, Song. We've just been friends roaming around together for quite a long time, just the two of us. No worries. I'm like, yeah, okay. And the looks they give each other, this show, when it wants to give like the pining looks, it's like, I see how it is. But yeah, but Yang being tied up and Wuxin searching for him. So he didn't have the iron on him, which is interesting. But Chow wanted him back, and he got away. But the question is, obviously the captain didn't let him go. Obviously it was Yao that let him go. We don't have the full connection yet, but oh my gosh, this is just, I was on cloud nine this episode. I was fangirling so much. It's great. So what I like about this, so again, so they took Yang to Mingzhu's home, which I'm glad we get to see where that clan is, the unclean realm. I'm glad we get to see that, the Mingzhu clan area. That's nice. We get to see that. So he was taken before Mingzhu, but no Daddy Jin. Instead, it was just Yao and all of them. And so it's putting them into the scenario in the past, which is interesting. I'm glad we get to see this all acted out, because we just see it in a flashback earlier, and we get an entire episode devoted to it here, which is really nice. And we're setting up the whole antagonism between Yang and Wanji. We're setting that antagonism up, because they have the little moment when he's tied up, and they have that. We're setting up his fascination with Wuxin. We're setting up his whole thing with Yao. Like this whole flashback is setting up so much, and I kind of love it. But yeah, and then Yao and HuaiSang come in together, knowing that HuaiSang is eventually going to be responsible for Yao's death. It's kind of insane, and HuaiSang is such an actor, because you never see it coming, right? Rewatching this, I'm like, damn, he's good. Never see it coming, with the fan and everything. I love the idea of the Mingzhu sword. It's like a big meat cleaver, because the family's butchers. I love it. Mingzhu, his actors. I like that for Mingzhu, they found an actor that kind of looks like HuaiSang, because HuaiSang has a very unique face shape. It's not round, but it's kind of like, he has like a very heart-shaped face. And so, like, with XingChen and Wangji, they kind of look similar, only XingChen has like the most masculine jaw possible. But HuaiSang has a slightly odd face shape, but they managed to find someone to play Mingzhu that looks similar to, like, I believe they were half brothers. I would believe it. And Mingzhu's personality, it's perfect. It fits him great. I like it. We're going to talk about that scene with him and Yao. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But, man, so it's great the way that they handled this. I really like that they go to Mingzhu's home and there's Yao. Y'all, ever since you all said that Yao has the customer service smile, yeah, he does. He looks more menacing in this set of episodes, and I honestly think it's because of the way his hair is. There's just something about it. He looks more menacing, and I can't quite place it. But yeah, so XingChen and Song, they peace out, but not before saying that XingChen is Bao Shan, Songren's disciple. And so I'm curious to know, and don't spoil me on this, don't spoil me, but I'm going to be curious to know if we're going to tie back to him talking to Ching about that, about being Bao Shan's disciple or not, if we're going to touch back on that, or if this was just to get it out in the open now so he doesn't have to talk about it later. But yeah, Yao and his customer service smile. He is just trying to handle things, and HuaiSang of all people saying he's really smart with his words. It's like, HuaiSang figured him out long before anybody else, which is great. That's such a twist. I absolutely love it. And so yeah, Wuxian trying to find out about his family, and XingChen saying, yeah, basically you're kind of like my nephew, but my sister, we haven't seen her. And so in this series, they deliberately say uncle and nephew. Like, they deliberately make XingChen Wuxian's uncle. In the novel and in the donghua, it's kind of like they're from the same clan, but they're not necessarily blood related. So it's interesting. But I like Wuxian's crisis of trying to find out about his family, his real family. So, yeah. And then the line, "Don't forget me." When the moment he said that, I was like, we're getting that now, that preview of Yang saying, "Don't forget me now." Because in the donghua and the novel, it happens in the temple. Because in the donghua and the novel, XingChen and Song take Yang to Daddy Jin's, but that's not how it happens here. So I was like, how's he going to say that line? But it's when they take off, and that's when he says it, and it's just, And they have like matching tassels on the ends of they have like matching tassels. I'm like, come on. You two. Okay. Don't forget me. We're meant to meet again. I can't wait for E-City now. I can't wait. I'm so freaking excited to see these characters again at E-City. I kind of love that they set this whole episode up to set these characters up, because it's going to make us, as an audience, when we see these characters again, it's going to be great. I'm like, I'm so hyped for E-City now in the Untamed. I didn't know how they were going to do it, but I'm really, really hyped for it in this. And HuaiSang, they're such decent people. With their dignity and elegance. And Wuxian's like, I just wanted to go. Just seeing HuaiSang and Yao together in scenes is just blowing my mind, because it's just blowing my mind, because in the past, when we had all the flashbacks with Gusu and the training and everything, Yao wasn't present at all. And so Yao didn't really come into the picture until later on in the series. So seeing him this early on interacting next to HuaiSang is just, and knowing what we know is going to happen in the future, it's wild. And then HuaiSang saying, you must watch Xue Yang carefully. And Yao puts on that smile, and he's like, rest assured, young master. It's like, oh, it's so good. It's so freaking good. Okay. So yeah, I'm glad we get to go see Mingzhu's home. And they establish the whole thing with the archery tournament, right? Because the archery tournament in the donghua, and I haven't got to it in the novel yet, but in the donghua, the archery tournament, they sent a representative from each clan, right, to go to it. And is that kind of what they're alluding to here is about to happen, that they're going to send a representative to it? Okay. All right. So yeah, and then I like that Yao having to put up with HuaiSang. He looks like he just has to put up with him. Oh, Mingzhu's so great. So yeah, so we get the confrontation with Yang, I like that everyone in the room, when they do the confrontation with Yang, because in the flashback, Wuxian just sees it. He sees Daddy Jin, Yao, Mingzhu, Song, and XingChen. And when Yang is being sentenced, Yao is the one to stand up for him. But in this, everyone stands up for him. And that's kind of crazy, right? But the reason they stand up for him is they're like, you don't need to kill him outright because we still need to find the iron. And he's the only one that knows possibly where it is. So if we kill him now, we're going to accomplish nothing. So, yeah. And Mingxu's like, are y'all pleading for this guy? And Wangxi's like, what? And Wuxian's like, well, not really, but we just don't want to kill him yet. Everything's unclear now, is what Wuxian says. It's not too late to kill him until we make it clear. But yeah, but Mingxu don't play those games. Mingxu is not one to play, manipulation or anything. He just wants to outright do something. It's great. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And again, Yang's voice actor just chewing the scenery. Amazing. And so Yao is stuck in charge of watching over him. Okay, and it's Chang that says, I was wrong. It's Chang that says that, Chang originally says that Yao's really good with words. And HuaiSang backs him up with Wuxian in the middle, saying my brother values him so much. And meanwhile, Yang is just sitting there like with this shit-eating grin. It's great. Oh my gosh. I love it. So then, yeah, I get the whole thing with the captain. So yeah, so Yao was sent to go get a advanced guard to go help watch over Yang. And he goes up to the captain of the force here and is like, hey, Mingxu said you guys need to gather up a troop and follow me, and we're going to go watch over Yang. And they just kind of ignore him. And they kind of ignore, and Yao even tries to say, my brother, your captain, Big Brother Ni here, he's tasked with this. And the captain blows him off. He's like, oh, well, we'll get it together. We don't need you. And Yao just smiles, his big dimpled smile. And it's like, well, okay, but it's such a cruel moment because even in this position of power, even when he has Mingxu's respect and Mingxu gives him a task, no one else respects him. And it's so sad because Yao is such a complicated character. And I love that immediately after this, Wuxian at least gives him a bow, like at least treats him like a decent person. Like I do feel bad for Yao in this. And we're getting all this backstory and lead up of Yao being treated like shit. And it's like, oh, this guy's going to become the ultimate cultivator clan leader, 20 years down the road. So, and yeah, he's like, don't make trouble with me. And the way he says it, he's like, don't make trouble with me. But then he immediately backtracks and is like, because, I don't want Mingxu to get mad at me. Ugh. And he calls him a horse son. And that's the words. Like, Yao can take so much, but when you start insulting his mama, that's when he gets... And I'm sorry, but I'm rewatching the episode, but that look that he gives when he's like, oh, then go run back to your master if you're the one that serves him. And Yao's like, And that look when the captain turns around, and the whole time Yang is watching all this exchange, but when the captain turns around, his face just like falls, and he's like he's just so pissed. It's just that fall on Yao's face is amazing. Amazing. It was that look on his face like, I'm going to kill this guy. It's going to happen. He's like, don't forget who you are. You're the son of a whore. I feel so bad for Yao. I do in this moment. In this past, knowing that he was just treated like garbage. Nope. Not a fan. So yeah, so Wuxian's totally nice to him. And then we get this really sweet moment where I was like, is this some kind of innuendo of Wuxian sleeping on your roof, Wangji? But I love that Wuxian's like, I'll just stay up here. And he gets drunk and passes out. And I'm sorry, show, but you're giving us all the Wangji smiles, all the Wangji expressions. I'm all here for it, let me tell you. But it's only when Wuxian's asleep or he's not looking, It just happens to work out. But yeah, him having to leave. So that's another thing. I was trying to remember back in... him saying goodbye is so sad. I was trying to think back because it's back in season 1. of the Donghua. I have not gotten there in the novel yet, obviously, but in season 1 of the Donghua, it just happens in exposition, right? Wuxian goes back to the Lotus Pier and then finds out that Gusu's been attacked by the winds and burnt to the ground. So it's just like literally an exposition moment. Whereas in this, they receive word from Chao and them, from Chao to Mingzhu. Chao threatens Mingzhu and says, if you don't hand Yang and the iron over, it's going to end up the same way as Gusu did. And so that establishes that Wangji and them are back in Gusu and it's been burning. So it all ties back around. It's interesting. It's interesting. I kind of like the way they frame it in this, though, because in the Donghua, it just happens. I've not gotten there in the novel yet, so don't spoil me, but I'm sure in the novel it's more explained. But in the Donghua, it just is a moment that happens, and you're like, oh, wait, what? Things are burning? But here, it's like a threat. It's part of the threat. Chao is literally threatening Mingzhu that if he doesn't do what he wants, then they're going to end up like Gusu as well. So, yeah. And I just... the fight that breaks out, we have the melting core hand. He's great. I like the actor playing him. He fits the part really well. But him versus Mingzhu. I don't think Mingzhu got his golden core taken away, though, right? I don't think that's the case. I thought Chao was the one that hit him in the back. I need to go watch that again. But yeah, so Chao or Yao is the one that killed the captain, obviously. And Mingzhu spotted him. So we're getting season 3 stuff like right off the bat in this. The idea that Mingzhu caught Yao killing his men and was going to kill him. But then in this, Yao saves Mingzhu's life. So he gets stabbed. It was a shallow wound because he doesn't get stabbed very, very deep. He's clearly okay. But obviously Yao is afraid of Mingzhu killing him. And oh my gosh, him lying, saying it's not my fault. And because he lies, he says Xue Yang killed him, and then he lies later on saying that, oh, well, the guy, he let Xue Yang go, and so that's why I had to kill him. So he's caught up in all these lies, and Mingzhu's having none of it. But he's like, damn it, you saved my life, so I'm going to have to, I guess, spare you. Yeah, so... He got stabbed pretty good. But tis a flesh wound. It's only like this far in, so it's not too deep. Just a little bit. He'll live. Tis a flesh wound. Yeah. And then Wuxian them coming to their aid. It works for this show. Now, do I like the Donghua a little bit more? But the Donghua is handling these events so differently. It's like comparing apples and oranges, right? I like both versions. Obviously, I think at this point the novel and the Donghua are more succinct and tie things together because the author's, using the source material. But in this, for what they had to do, I really like it. I think it works pretty well. But, yeah, setting all this up and setting up that Wuxian's worried about Wangji and we don't know what's going on. And so one thing that I do love about this, the scene between Mingzhu and Yao is so emotionally charged, and like Mingzhu's like crying and Yao is crying because at the beginning, way back in episode 3, when they set up that Yao was with the Ni clan already, I was like, oh, okay, we're just bypassing him being, trying to get in with Daddy Jin and just going straight to Mingzhu, and Mingzhu accepting him at that time it was on Jishin's request, so that's interesting. But in this, the crazy thing is that I like that the setup has a payoff. So they set up Yao being, adopted by Mingzhu into the Ni clan and being kind of raised with them. There's that setup, and then this is the payoff. The payoff is Yao betraying Mingzhu, but also saving him. So Mingzhu spares him, but kicks him out and exiles him from the Nis. That's really cool. I like that decision a lot. And it leads to this big moment where Yao just yells and it's like, oh my God. And Mingzhu's just like, he's like, go ahead and kill me. Mingzhu's like, I want to, but my honor's saying that you saved my life, so I can't do that. And just like the tears, the emotion, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. I love it so much. since you saved me today, yeah, I won't harm you. I'm going to let you go. And I'm wondering if they're going to like show his scar later. But yeah, the Yao's actor giving it 100%. And calmly walking away. Oh, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, this episode 10 was my favorite so far. I love the changes that they've made. Work really well for this show. It works well for the show. I like that we're getting build up with XingChen and Song and Yang now. I'm glad that we're getting their characters introduced now, so it'll have a bigger impact later. The scene between Mingzhu and Yao is going to be interesting, because later when he kills Mingzhu, or however they make it work, like possess him, whatnot, it's going to have more impact. It's all just so good. And the whole thing with Yang and Yao, like all the character interactions up until this point have been for the betterment of the series. Like they've really helped you tie to these characters so that when things happen to them later, it's going to feel more powerful and impacting because you've spent all this time getting to know them. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is great. So I know I fangirled. I'm going to put a headphone warning, I'm sure, because I was like, oh my God. So I hope y'all enjoyed these episodes too. These were wonderful, but I hope y'all enjoyed these episodes. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Obviously, don't spoil me. You guys have been great about that so far. This was such a surprise, and I was so excited. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episodes 11 and 12 of The Untamed. Bye.